Showtime! The Capital G show starts right now. What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. We're talking more crossover souls, and it looks like an old fan favorite deck is getting more support. Fire Kings are getting a field spell. I'm kind of surprised by this. I'm never opposed to Konami releasing, kind of like new support for old obscure decks. You look recently at what happened with Volcanics. I mean, they got one card, and it literally took that deck from like tier 3 to arguably like tier 1.5. I mean, going undefeated out of YCS, and they only got one card. Sort of the same thing happened with Duelist Alliance and Batterymen. That was a deck that I don't think any competent player would have ever ran before that event, and they got 9-volt, and my goodness, he just gave the deck so much more consistency, along with I think, did Stormforth come out? And I think Stormforth might have came out in Primal Origins. But yeah, a couple of cards completely changed that deck. All right, so Fire Kings, they've got a new field spell, and Fire Kings, they were kind of good, and then Duelist Alliance came out, and everything stopped missing the timing. Like, missing the timing just isn't a thing anymore in Yu-Gi-Oh! And Burning Abyss, the effects kind of just all triggered, and I would say the Shadow matchup is kind of manageable because you don't really special from the extra deck, which means that against Shadows, even though their stuff will keep triggering, you can kind of try and grind them down. And then if you hit like Shadow Mirror, then you just blow them the fuck out. So I would think that the Burning Abyss matchup is a lot harder than Shadows. I feel like Snatch Shield coming back is one of the worst things that could have happened for the deck. Because nobody wants their Garunix getting snatched stole. But then again, Regeki also came back, and Regeki doesn't really hurt the deck at all. So alright, so let's talk about the field spell. It's called Fire King Island. It's a field spell. It has 3 different effects. That alone like made me think, okay, it's viable. If you have 3 different effects built into a field spell, I mean, shit, at least one of them have to be good. There's no way you're gonna have 3 different effects on a field spell and they all suck. That's just like, I mean, at that point, you just made toilet paper, Konami, if you really did that. It says you can only use either the 1 or 2 effect of Fire King Island each turn, and only once that turn. So you kind of have to pick and choose depending on what position you're in and what exactly you want to do to your opponent and how you want to counter their plays or advance your game state. The effect number 1, and I think this is probably the best effect. During your main phase, you can destroy 1 monster on the field you control or in your hand, and if you do, add 1 Fire King monster from your deck to your hand. So, to me, this reminds me a lot of Dragon's Ravine. I mean, basically, in fact, it might even be better than Dragon's Ravine in that sense. You don't discard, you have to blow up a monster on the field. But okay, if you blow up Balrog, then obviously he'll trigger and you can get an Onslaught. If you blow up a Garunix in your hand, that shit will trigger. And it's just a really good way, first off, of getting Garunix out of your fucking hand. We all know the main reason the deck never ran 3 Garunix is because when you drew Garunix, the only way to get it out of your hand was Yaska. So that was kind of an issue that the deck always kind of fought with. But now it's like, if you run this, you can kind of run 3 Garunix. I mean, because it could be a problem sometimes if your Garunix got crowed or your Garunix got bottomless. But now it's like you could just run 3 Garunix. You can blow a Garunix up in your hand, and then you can just add a Fire King. Like, you can just search out a Balrog. So it seems really, really good, just the effect number 1. Effect number 2, if you control no monsters, you can special summon 1 Fire Winged Beast type from a monster from your hand. This one is okay. It's very specific. A Fire Winged Beast, the only thing I can think of that the deck is really going to run is Garunix, and there's some like little chicken thing. It's like something like some like mini avatar Garunix. When it dies, it summons like a Fire King or something like that. You don't really need it because it's level 3, which means you can't use it with like Wolf Bark. You can't exceed with it. This effect, to me, it's okay. The thing is, why would you ever use this? Why would you ever just summon Garunix from your hand? Unless you just, okay, if you needed to push for game, I get that. But I mean, why summon Garunix from your hand when you can just blow your own Garunix up? It's still going to get summoned during your opponent's turn, and you get to search for a card. So it's like you're getting 1-for-1s there. To me, the first effect far exceeds the second. And then the third effect, if this face-up card is sent to the graveyard or banished, destroy all monsters you control. Don't know how I feel about this effect. I mean, this seems like somewhat of a double-edged sword effect, mainly because while Garunix is not going to be affected, your Fire King monsters really won't be that affected, but it also means that if you ever have this out and you choose to exceed using like a Wolf Bark, if your opponent MSTs you, they totally nuke your fucking board, and that's not fun. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of keeping you honest as far as what you summon on board. To me, the whole reason that you run this card, this card probably seems like a 1 or 2 of, is just effect number 1. Because effect number 1 basically is Dragon's Ravine. I mean, you can blow up a monster. It would have been crazy if you could have used this, if this would have been a quick effect. Oh my god, that would have been insane. But anyways, that's wishful thinking. To me, you're running this card because of effect number 1, because you can just summon something. If it gets Fiendish Chained or something like that, you blow your monster up, and then you get to add a Fire King, or just because it gets Garunix out of your fucking hand. I mean, now you could potentially run 3 Garunix, and it actually seems kind of consistent. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching as always. Subscribing makes life happy.